Hello guys, how's it going? Hope everyone had a good trading week and is enjoying the weekend. We had a Guy Fawkes night here, bonfire night as we call it, last night. Stayed in obviously, just trying to recover. We've got a good weekend of football as usual, but I'm more interested about the Canelo Plant fight. I've got Canelo to win it. I just can't see past Canelo. To be fair, I just think he's on a league of his own at the moment. But yeah, I'm really excited for the fight. Anyway, jumping straight into the weekly outlook. So with GU, we'll start with GU. Okay, with GU, we had this low here which took out structure. We had a break structure here. Okay, now this isn't confirmed bullish order flow for me. I need another breaker structure. Okay, now what is important to note is we reacted from this wick. Okay, this is a weekly wick. Okay, it's a weekly wick, and we've now came back to the daily extreme demand that broke this structure. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if this holds and price creates a high. Okay, but note that we have reacted from a weekly wick point of interest. Okay, so even if this doesn't hold, it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be like a huge surprise. Okay, now just jumping down to the lower time frames. Let's say the 4 hour, we can see clearly, we've shifted on the 4 hour. Okay, we've had break of structure, we've had our major break of structure here. Okay, so the weekly order flow is the 4 hour order flow is bearish. Okay, now we can also see that we've had these, large impulses. Okay, we've had these large impulses. If I just get that on, okay, into the daily demand zone, right, which we've now pretty much fully mitigated. Now we've not really had a correction. Okay, so for this week, I am expecting some sort of correction. Okay, into these levels. Okay, into these levels of supply. Okay, so if we do get nice corrective price action, okay, I would definitely look to sell from these positions. Okay, the reason I say that is because more likely that I will be in a buy up until these point of interest. Okay, so I'll definitely look to hedge my positions from these points. Okay, because at the moment we have reacted from a weekly supply. Okay, but the daily has broken structure, showing intention for higher prices. So it's a bit like, where are we going? Okay, because as I'll show you at the end of this, there is reason for lower prices. Okay, definitely reason if this doesn't hold. Okay, now if I jump to the 1 hour, there's nothing really here for me to show other than what I'm expecting. Right, we've got these equal highs, which, I'm expecting some sort. Let me jump to the 30-minute, might be a bit easier. If I basically get a mitigation, because this all looks efficient to me, if I get a mitigation of this, okay, of this point of interest, break a structure, at which point I'll hand down my demand zone, probably somewhere here, and I'll look to get into these buys, okay, into these 4 hour supply zones. Okay, that's pretty much all I'm expecting. Now, just jumping up to the weekly, just before I finish off here on GU. If this doesn't hold, if this daily demand doesn't hold, right, we can definitely look to target 50% of this weekly wick. Okay, I think that's a logical place for price to get down to. Okay, if this doesn't hold. Okay, so that's why it's important to stay, very, like, don't have just one bias. Okay, stay fluid, basically. Yeah. So I look to buy into myself. Okay, that's GU. Moving on to EU, again, pretty much, okay, what we've done, right, start with the daily. Okay, we had this one breaker structure. Okay, again, not showing bullish order flow yet. We need that second break. Then we basically reacted from this 4-hour supply zone, okay, taking out all this liquidity, okay, into this supply and then breaking structure. Okay, now this to me, we've returned now to the daily demand, okay, just as in GU. Okay, now to me this here is a liquidity grab. Okay, this to me looks more like a liquidity grab than a breaker structure. Okay, now how did we get here? Okay, now I think it would be easier if I jump to the 1 hour. So we had this liquidity grab, okay, of this high right here, which then broke structure, and that's how we got into mitigating the full of that daily demand. Okay, now this to me looks as though it's a liquidity grab on the daily more than anything, right? Again, there's a lot of reason for price to come fill these gaps, okay, especially after such impulse movements, okay. Then bear in mind we only reacted from the breaker, okay, we reacted from the breaker. Now I'm expecting that proper retracement, okay, that's what I'm expecting. Now if I jump to the lower time frames, it'll be a bit more easier. What we can see is the 30 minutes shifted, okay. In the 30 minute we have, if I just jump to the 15, it'll be easier. We've broken structure and we've broken major structure, okay. Now we could definitely look to play a retracement into this POI for them higher prices, but ideally what I would want to see is price coming down to this region of demand right here, okay. So I'd want nice corrective price action. If I just delete these, nice corrective price action into this zone here to then look for higher prices. Okay, now my targets will be this zone here. Now this is very valid because it took out liquidity before breaking structure, okay. But I do, I do favor price coming higher, okay, into these regions here, okay. I do favor that, okay, especially going off a daily demand zone, right? Now obviously if we don't respect this demand and if we just continue to melt, I'll look to frame my shorts based on price delivery into these point of interest and look to frame my shorts. But for now, I'm looking for these buys into my sell zones, okay. If I can get into a buy here and a sell here, that would be ideal, okay. With AU, again on the daily, as we mentioned last week, we had the break structure, another break structure giving us bullish order flow, okay. Now we then reacted from this daily wick, okay. Now we basically came down to our first point of interest, okay. Now just before I go off the daily, we've got reasons for higher prices here, okay. We've got these gaps which need to be filled, okay, and we've got these POIs up here as well. But for now, prices here, let's focus on price action right here, okay. So we've now reacted from this 8-hour point of interest, okay. Now we could come back into it a bit more, okay, before seeing a better reaction, okay. Now jumping down to the 4-hour, okay, we can see the 4-hour order flow is bearish, okay. Broken structure, broken that major structure, okay. So ideally I'd look to sell from in here. Now this will be clear on the 3-hour, okay. It's a nice order block in there, okay. So we started to break minor structures here, mitigate, and then really melt off, okay. So we've got these gaps which need to be filled. This gap needs to be filled. We've definitely got a valid order block here on the 4-hour, okay. It's definitely valid. You could definitely look to sell from in here, but I would advise, if you are selling from in here, make sure you get confirmed entry on the lower time frame, okay, because there's a high chance that this could be used as liquidity, okay, especially coming up from an 8-hour order block, okay. So just be aware of that, okay. But as of now, that's pretty much what I'm seeing, Okay, again, if I jump down to the 15-minute, yeah, we have broken structure and broken order flow. Yep. So we've broken structure here. We've had a second break. So definitely, if price comes back down to this break here, maybe. Okay, and depending on how we get there, you can definitely look to frame your buys into your sell zones. Okay, and that's pretty much as simple as I'm keeping it at the moment on AU. Okay, is there anything else I need to say? No. Okay, so again, don't be surprised if price does come here, but that is the whole point in us trying to get into these buys here, trying to get into these sells here. Okay, so that we've hedged our position. Okay, because there's no reason for price to just go from here. Okay, just yet. Okay, we could see this lower retracement before higher prices. Just before I finish up on AU, I just wanted to say, last week I did mention why we're not selecting this demand zone, okay, because it's not in discount, okay, but I did say you can scalp from in here, okay, so if you look at here, if you look at this, we did get like a 55 pip move from this demand, okay, so you can definitely scalp from these regions that are not, in discount or in premium, okay, but just don't expect price to go ahead and break structures from there, because it just doesn't make logical sense, okay, to buy something when it's not in discount and to sell something when it's not in premium, okay. On NU, I'll just start on the daily. We had our break structure, okay. We we're bullish on the daily now. We then have this daily supply, which price fully mitigated, okay, and we are now reacting. I believe it's an 8-hour. It's an 8-hour point of interest. Okay. Now again, we've got all this gap here. Okay. That price could come down to fill. Okay. So don't be surprised if we do go back to mitigate this and then come lower. Okay. Don't be surprised if that does happen. Okay. Now with this, if you look on the 4-hour, we can see just beautiful mitigation plays. Okay. We initially broke minor structures here, okay, we then came back to mitigate it, we then broke structure again, came back to mitigate the supply, we then broke structure again. So all I'll be looking for, okay, if I don't get into a buy, I'll definitely look to get into a sell at this level, okay, because there is reason for lower prices. If my entry criteria presents itself at this supply zone, then I'll definitely look to sell, okay. Yeah, if I jump down to the lower time frames to see if we have broken structure. So the 1-hour here has given us a nice change in character, breaker structure. Okay, it's not fully turned bullish yet. I'm pretty sure the 15-minute has turned bullish with nice mitigation plays. Breaker structure, mitigation, second breaker structure. I'll be waiting for this mitigation play here. Okay, so price comes down, nice and corrective. I look to take that buy into the 4-hour supply that we just talked about right here. Okay, if I just clean it up a little bit, this 4-hour supply right here. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'm looking for. Keeping it nice and simple. I don't want these outlooks to be like 30-minute videos, because there's no point, because it's just to clear your mind up, have a clear picture going into the market on Monday. Okay, so I hope everyone has a good weekend. Okay, that's it for me today, and if you could like this video and share this video, that would be great. And if you could also subscribe to this channel, I would highly appreciate that also. Now remember, always refine and tweak your strategy. Okay, remember to back test, to live test. Okay, you're always learning in this game, don't forget that.